Hello and welcome to Graceful Connections. I'm Sophie Bidard, your host on this journey to gracefully reach for the stars, an adventure of exploration, discovery, healing, liberation, growth, and truthful expression. I'm so grateful that you've chosen to join us today, bringing your unique energy that pours into our circle of connection. Your presence here honors the calling within you to embody your galactic authority in life and work, which is what our guest, Elizabeth Wysen, will be sharing with us about today, and that's very intriguing for sure. So let's begin. Take a moment to let go of anything that doesn't serve this present moment. And with each breath, feel yourself arriving more fully here. As we set our intention, may all that flows within our sacred space, be it words, vibrations, energies, serve the highest evolution of our souls and extend outward in service to all. I invite you to open your heart and your mind to receive all the brilliance that awaits. Activating your connection to the new earth crystalline grid and to the galactic center, the center of truth. You are perfectly held, both grounded and lifted. You are safe, relaxed, and ready and open to receive. Now I'm calling the orb of grace from the heart of the universe and placing the orb of grace around our gathering, each and every one of us, that we be held in this orb of grace and infused with grace all along our time together. As grace permeates our field, it harmonizes and magnifies all that seeks alignment and illuminates all that longs for expression in accordance with divine will and the order of grace. And breathe. Beautiful. Within the orb of grace, I'm delighted to welcome Elizabeth Wysen, advanced seer, working on the cutting edge of galactic and quantum anthropology, trauma healing, and futurism. What a blessing to have you with us today, Elizabeth. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I love being on your show. Thank you.
Thank you. We love having you for sure. So everyone, Elizabeth today is going to share about embodying your galactic authority in life and work. And we'll also offer live intuitive readings. So to request your reading, press *2 on the phone or click raise hand on the web to come on the line with Elizabeth, or place your request in the Q&A box on the web. And the question to ask is, what practice can I use to open up my creative flow from my inner galactic authority? Or you can simply ask for a reading, and that's what Elizabeth is going to read for you. For now, let's dive into our intriguing topic, and I'd like to begin with asking you, Elizabeth, simply, what does galactic authority mean exactly?
Yes, this is a fun one because it's not something we really talk about very much. We talk about inner authority, soul's authority. And first I want to point out that there's multiple types of authority and what authority means. Authority means that you are the creator of a specific quality of energy, right? So when we say that someone is an author, they have written a book. And so it's their book. It's come through them. They have created it. And they have the right to share that information as an exclusive example of their creation. And so you are a creator of different kinds of authority. They all come from your soul. So they arise from the soul, but there's different qualities because you have a multidimensional body. So the first kind of authority comes directly from your soul. It comes through the voice, and we call it perfect self-expression. And then we have the second kind of authority. It's your sovereignty on this planet. Your body is aligned specifically with the earth. It's been cultivated specifically to be on this planet. If we just go plop ourselves on Mars, it's not going to go that great. And the people who are already on Mars, they're not doing that great. It's not healthy to be on a different planet. It's very difficult to transition your body from one planet to another. And so your body and this earth are aligned in a very special way. We are not stewards of the earth. That's a mistranslation. We are sovereigns of the earth. Stewardship means that you're waiting for the owners to come back. And there's not some other owners of earth. We're the ones who are in alignment with the earth. We're in co-creation with the earth. We are sovereigns on the earth. And so you're here to be in sovereign service, and the earth is in sovereign service supporting you and vice versa. So we have an earthly sovereign authority too. And we can say, I am a human being. I am perfectly aligned to this planet. This planet loves me. She wants me here. She wants humans here. Don't fall for the idea that humans are some kind of virus or cancer on this earth. That's not true. That's the Dark Order lying to you. Because they would love for all of us to disappear so they can just take it all over. And that's not the way it's going to happen. It's not what's happening. If we stand in our power, then we're sovereigns of the earth. We are kings and queens of this earth. And we do really need to grasp that idea of selflessness is not the way, it's sovereignty that's the way. And then we have galactic authority, and that has to do with your soul's memory. It's not necessary for you to remember your past lives. People have access to that when they need it. It's a trick. It's a trick to be stuck in the obsession of what the Akashic record, which is the collective record of human experience in this galaxy. It's not just earthly. That collective record is available to you because you are part of an incredible network of DNA on many different planets across this galaxy that are all interconnected through Indra's net, which is the second dimension. It's the real internet. And that authority is bestowed to you as part of a very grand and powerful collective of human beings. So your galactic authority is your connection to galactic consciousness of humanity. It's not a different kind of consciousness. It's not the consciousness of stars. It's not the consciousness of material. It's the consciousness of human beings and their DNA. And so that historical data is like a huge library. And it's a massive amount of information and valuable experience that you have access to all the time. Let me give you a funny example. And you might be like, well, how is that galactic authority? But it is galactic authority because it has everything to do with what my soul knows. And the Earth is part of the galaxy. So the Earth isn't separate from the galaxy. We have this weird idea that, well, earthly information is different than all of the information on all these other planets and all these other people. No, it's not. We're part of the galaxy. So one day my boyfriend was practicing with the bow and arrow. And he said, do you want to give it a try? And I hadn't really shot a bow and arrow before. And I kind of wander over there, and I'm not even trying. I'm not even thinking about it. And I knock the arrow, and I hit a bullseye the first time. And we were quite far, and it's not easy to hit a bullseye. And he looked at me like, well, you've obviously done that before. And I said, yeah, probably in some past life. And it's because my soul's memory knows how to come through. If I get out of the way and I don't have expectations or attachments to outcomes, then my soul's galactic authority, the authority of the memory beyond my Elizabeth self, beyond my body, comes through. And this happens when I do readings or when I teach or when I'm on interviews. I just get out of the way and I let my soul speak, because she has access to not only all of her own memory, but all of the memory of humankind across these ages. And so again, you don't need Google. You don't need the internet. You're already tapped into the most grand possible internet there is. The point being is that you must get out of the way with your ego and expectations and stop identifying as the body and identify as the soul if you want the galactic authority to show up in your life. So that's how I perceive galactic authority.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you for readjusting our perception of of who we are and what we're here for. So yeah, adjusting. I'm seeing everyone in the audience adjusting their crown or putting on their crown for those who had dropped it, and wearing it with with authority and with like naturally, like this. This is my crown. I wear it. Okay. So how do we discern? Without remembering, you mentioned that, right? Without remembering our past lives directly, necessarily, how do we discern what that authority is?
So for you, you're going to start with your perfect self-expression. The first step is to stop identifying as the body. The body is a very special being who you have an intimate marriage with, an intimate symbiosis with. It's a being that deserves your objective attention. So you need to start talking to your body as separate from yourself. Because when you leave, you still exist, and the body then, its symbiotic beings, the bacterium, the incredible biome of your body, it goes back to the biome of the earth. So when we say like, human beings are made of the earth. Well, exactly that, in the fact that you are made of mostly bacterium. That symbiotic physical form is mostly bacterium. In fact, we used to think that the brain was sterile, and now we know it's not at all. There's bacteria, and they run the show. There's a whole literal amount of neurons in your gut talking through the bacterium. There's enough neurons in your gut to actually make a cat's brain, and cats are just as smart as dogs. So you literally have an entire cat's brain in your gut. I like that image because it makes me laugh. But the idea is that if you can start to separate yourself from your body more, then you back up into becoming your true self. And that's how you first start your discernment process. Once you do that, then you have to recognize your mind, because the mind is trying to drive the car, and it's not really meant to drive the car, but we've been programmed and brainwashed by the Matrix to continue to believe that the mind is the only brain you have, the brain mind, and that it's supposed to run the show, and we're forcing our brains to do the job of 3 brains instead of 1 brain. When you actually have 3, your brain mind, your heart mind, and your gut mind. And so you have to start to separate those minds. You can feel what your heart says. You can feel what your gut says. You want to start to talk to them and ask them questions that are obvious to you. Good yes or no questions that you already know the answer to. And this will help you continue to separate yourself from your body. And this is not disassociation. This is you taking on a very specific recognition that your awareness has never changed. It comes from only your soul, that comes from Source God, and that awareness is beyond the body. The body is contained by the soul. The soul is very large and immense, and it's contained by the soul. Your body doesn't hold the soul. It's the other way around. And so as you start to experience that sensation, there's a different quality of thought that shows up. Because then you can objectively recognize, wow, my brain is really stuck in the past this morning, or my brain is worrying about a bunch of things this morning, and my body's worrying about a bunch of things. Why? Because your body doesn't feel like your soul is in control. And when the body doesn't feel like the soul is in control, then it's trying to run the show without you. And that's actually the real problem ultimately in our modern society, is that our bodies are trying to do the job that the soul's supposed to do, while the soul doesn't even recognize itself. So once you're in that perfect self-expression, which that's what that really means, is to be actually functioning from the soul's level of consciousness, then you're going to remember and start to tap into the fact that even in your childhood memories, that really ancient and very intelligent soul was always there. As I remember my childhood, there's a part of my memories that never changed, that always stayed the same with its immense knowledge and wisdom. And it was beyond adult-like thinking. It was my soul. And so as you begin to understand and feel your soul more, then you start to begin to love your body in a very different way, and you get to give your body and your mind a break. You're only worrying and you're only stuck in your mind because the brain and the body are afraid that you're not actually going to come and run the show, and they really want you to run the show. Your body wants your soul to run the show. So that's perfect self-expression, is when your soul is running the show. You're in charge, and you're talking to your body, and you're making decisions from the soul. Then you can actually start to recognize that the soul has information that the body doesn't. So Elizabeth's history is very limited. There's a greater, grander amount of information based in the collective knowledge, based in history, that you have access to. And so you got to practice with it. Like all things, you have to practice with this. So you have to start asking questions that you don't know the answer to, and begin to work from the soul to the source field direct. If you try to use your body to do that, then you're going to mess it up. If you're in ego, and if you're in attachment, if you're in trauma, then it's going to be distorted. You're going to make statements, and you're going to use your body in the wrong way. So you're going to make statements like, oh, well, it's probably all going to go wrong. Oh, well, I don't even know anything anymore. I feel so lost. When you say those things and you think them, they become real. And so then that's the body trying to run the show, and that's the body trying to figure out how to live in the matrix, instead of the soul teaching the body how to live in natural law. So what you ought to do then is to retrain the whole system by practicing speaking with very high authority, right? The galactic authority in you that says, let it be so, that all things pan out in perfect divine timing and perfect divine order. I fully surrender to the divine will, and let all things be within this beautiful natural law, this beautiful divine order. And then you're using your thoughts and your words to create reality, which is what your body's good at. That's what your body's for. In a multidimensional way, you're using your body appropriately, and watch your body heal. Watch how your body responds to speaking with such great high levels of authority. And then you're going to start to notice that when you say things, they become real. When you think things and you image them in your mind, they become real. Because you're tapping into the divine order. It's the complete opposite of what the matrix is. It's not New Earth, it's divine order. And divine order functions as the way the universe functions. It is the function of the universe. And even in divine order, we do have different kinds of things that pop up, lots of different kinds of consciousness under pressure and problems, and even the matrix pops up. But all that stuff comes in specifically to evolve consciousness and create novel experience. And from that higher authority, that galactic authority of your soul, you're going to recognize perfection in all things. You're going to notice that those big problems were pushing you in a certain direction so that new doors can open. And when you surrender to it and you say, let the divine will be done through me, then it happens. So you have to practice. You have to practice your divine authority, and that's how you're going to discern it, because you sync up to natural law. It's no longer about manifesting. Throw that word out of your vocabulary forever. Manifesting is an old French word that literally means projecting. And you're not here to project. You're here to actually maintain your connection to the divine order. You're here to synchronize with that divine will. And as you synchronize to the divine will, then the galactic authority shows up through amazing symbiosis, through beautiful patterns. I'll give you an example. I asked Source, what's next? What's the next step for me? And then right after that, I had 4 different friends who don't have any contact with each other tell me the same exact thing. And it kind of came out of nowhere. They simply said, hey, you need to move. And it was a shock, because I didn't think I needed to move, but I had 4 different people speaking from their heart, telling me that I need to move, right? And then suddenly my children say, we want to go somewhere else. Right? And so then I had another voice from God speak through the people around me. That's synchrony. And that's you paying attention to the divine voice. All these people completely not connected to one another saying the same exact thing within 24 hours of me asking what's next. That is synchrony. And many of us see those patterns and we experience them, but we don't realize that that's actually your clue that you're synced up to the divine order. That's what discerning galactic authority is. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Wow. Well, you are just so much adjusting us to the right and higher perspective, and it feels maybe complex. I don't know even, is it complex? It just sounds so simple when you speak it. So thank you for the clarity that you bring.
No, it's not complicated, but what it is it's frustrating for people. Because they've been lied to.
Yeah.
They've been lied to.
Yeah.
They've been lied to by our poor New Age community got usurped, and there were specific lies that got planted that kept everyone away from grounding themselves in the 3D. Instead, it was like, let's run away from the 3D and we're going to go to the 5D, which is a terrible idea. And these kinds of different lies that ended up permeating the idea of manifesting being the way to go, and that's not how it works. And so the other side of it is surrender. And when you surrender yourself to that divine order, to the divine will, we have to completely change the way we think. That's why it feels complicated, because you have to, every time you worry about something, immediately offer it up and say, Source, let it be so that this pans out in perfect divine order. Let karma be completely healed in this imperfect divine timing. I let it go. And you put it to the ocean of Source that goes beyond this galaxy, beyond this universe. The thing is that we keep thinking we have to do it. And we carry our trauma, we carry the distortion, we carry ego. It's heavy. And I'm telling you, your ego and your trauma are really, really valuable. Your suffering is deeply valuable. That's another lie of the New Age, is that we want to try to escape suffering. No, my friends, that's not going to happen. That's not realistic. That's not how the universe works. That's not how physics works. Everything goes and creates pressure and then creates form, and then it gets released back into the formlessness and then gets put back into form again. You are made of stardust because some stars exploded. and they went through a breakthrough process. And then all that materium ended up coming together and being recreated with the incredible technologies of DNA. And all of this is our bodies and all the living things around us. It's all technology. It was created on purpose. These things are not just born of the grit of the universe. That's also another lie of actually the scientific world. Things are not just born of grit. Consciousness is not born of grit. I saw the most ridiculous article the other day. It said, can AI have consciousness on the blockchain? And I almost spit up my tea. Because that's the idea that somehow consciousness can arise from grit, and that's not true whatsoever. It's the other way around. Everything is born of consciousness. And so if you can own that, recognize that, and just walk away from some of these ideas and say, guess what? I'm willing to just not know. I'm willing to start fresh. I want to start fresh and be aware of what is true. Show me. And you can ask Source to do that. And as for your suffering, it's like beautiful gold coins. The other day I was feeling great despair. And I recognized, I got to walk my talk. So I offered it up. And I said, take all my despair and turn it into blessings for my daughters. And the next day, my daughter called me just because she wanted to. And she's not called me before. And so she called me from her father's house just because she wanted to. And we had the most lovely conversation. And then, then things go under pressure again, maybe, right? We got into a fight recently, and she was very angry at me. And she felt so hurt. And when we finally got an ability to walk through it, I could offer up the suffering that I had, and I showed her how to do it too. And then we could reform our friendship, recognizing that neither of us are perfect, and that we could completely walk a new path, and that we could move on, right? And so these things, this is how it works. If you have a lot of different kinds of traumas that come up that rack your brain every day, so do I, then you have to offer it up because it's truly treasure. Source can transform it. Source is the ultimate alchemist. Source can turn it into blessings that end wars. People don't realize how powerful their suffering is and what miracles they can create. And so you are the creator of the miracles. We are the enders of the war. We are the enders of the galactic war and the earthly wars. Through the offering up of your suffering to Source, you can free yourself from the burden of having to trudge through everything and try to make sense of stuff that doesn't make sense. Narcissism and evil and trauma, these things don't make sense. Your brain is not going to make sense of it, no matter how hard you try. So when you lift it up and you offer it up, you're actually acting in the divine will, and you're surrendering all of that consciousness under pressure for it to actually turn into something useful. And then you're free. And you start to realize, wow, you mean I can just ask for anything? Yes, anything. Last night I keep having these really bad nightmares, and I asked my boyfriend to bless me. That helps. So ask your family and friends to bless you. Bless your family and friends. My father always used to bless us. He still does, even as I'm an adult. Whenever he sees me, he blesses me. So it's really wonderful. And so that's very powerful. And the men out there, you have a really powerful job as the priest king to be able to bless your family and friends. The masculine blessing is incredibly powerful. And same with the feminine, but I just want to argue that the masculine blessing, when men open their heart and recognize the power of their creation, they can actually do incredible things in consciousness. And so I want to empower the men out there to take hold of that. But once I asked for my boyfriend to bless me, and then I also asked Source, let it be so that I have an easier time in my dream realm tonight. And that's what happened. Right? And it's that simple. So the hard part is the rewiring of you have to do it all. Your brain, you have to think it out, that you can think it out, that you can solve emotional problems with your mind, and all sorts of things like that. Or that you have to try to make sense of all the horrible stuff you've gone through. That's actually matrix thinking. That's what keeps you trapped. Or that you have to sit there and focus with all your might on, whatever the thing is that you want. No, my friends. Give it to Source. Say, you know what, Source, I need a new car. Let it be so. In divine timing and divine order. With the exact prices that will work for me. And then you let it go. And you stop thinking about it. So you can free your poor brain from trying to drive the car. That's the syncing up with divine order. That's what it requires. And that's going to take a big mindset shift that you're not the one who's supposed to be doing all of it. It will be done through you as a creator if you're willing to relinquish all of the power back to source so that it can be done. That's how powerful God really is. It creates a very different relationship with reality, and you end up starting to experience the divine laws, such as the divine laws of trust, the divine law of the power of your words and your thoughts, and all these other wonderful divine laws. And more so, the divine laws elevate you. They don't bring you down or box you in like human laws do. Like, oh, if you cross this boundary, then you go to jail. It's the other way around in divine law. Let it be so that when I speak with my words from perfect self-expression, that these things become real beyond my knowing. That's the key. You're not the one who knows. You don't know what the perfect car is for you. I don't care how much research you did. You don't know which one is actually going to appear to be the one that you actually needed. Let Source decide that. There's the intelligence beyond you. That's your galactic authority, tapping into that intelligence. So it's a different way of living, and you have rights. You have divine rights. You have the divine right for that perfect self-expression. You have the divine right to the exact perfect friendships and relationships. And so we work so hard and we try so hard and we worry so deeply, and then we don't get anywhere because we're not willing to surrender at all of it to God. That's what's required of you to live in this way.
Wow. Yeah, thank you. Let's take it all in. We're going to need to readjust ourselves and, to really, readjust. I'm seeing like when you're adjusting your clothes and you're just making yourself really suit them, right? And we need to readjust ourselves to our skin and to really suit our humanness with these higher perspectives that you're bringing, Elizabeth. So to make this practical, to actually live and work with our authority, you've talked about speaking our higher authority. You've talked about surrender and giving to source. Is that all that it's about, or are there other elements that we need to include, or do we need to include to make this practical and to actually live it?
Yeah, so the first and foremost, the most important step is to stop identifying as your body. I am not the body named Elizabeth, but the body named Elizabeth is my precious charge, and she is very important to love as a being. We treat our pets better than we treat our bodies.
Yeah.
Most people. And I want to appeal to you to treat your body as a child of God, as an innocent child of God. That's exactly what your body is. And no different than your innocent pets. Right? And so when people are trapped in the dark and the narcissism and the evil, they're identifying 100% with the body, and they no longer recognize the innocence of the body. That's part of what happens when people get trapped in evil. And so when you're freeing yourself from all of this, you need to just start talking to your body. So what I'll do is I'll talk to my brain. Like I will start reliving the past quite a bit. And I'll bow to my mind and say, I love you. Thank you for trying to help me. Because I know you're trying to get me through some stuff. But this is not the way. And I want you to surrender it. Right? I'm talking to the child of God, Elizabeth. I want you to surrender it. Take it all and give it to God right now. We don't need to keep going over all the hurt that you've been through. Right? And it can be deeply emotional. Let your body cry. Let your body be sad or angry. Let the body experience those emotions. As a child, being able to actually be told, you don't have to live in the mud pit anymore. That's not your divine right. You don't have to be there anymore. Come with me. And then the body gets to release and be able to be free in the mind, right? And then you have a calm, quiet mind. I never thought that was possible because I mainly am incredibly mental because I'm psychic. And it's a full body psychic experience, but most of my power runs through that upper dantian. And so I thought like I was always going to be relegated to endless thoughts and endless phenomena and endless worry until I started to treat my body as a child of God and then allow my brain a chance to have a break. And that's what she needed. She didn't need me to get all mad at her for worrying some more. She needed me to treat her like a beautiful child who needed someone who is more ancient than her, the soul, to give her a chance to be free. And it was very deeply emotional, and it actually worked. My mind was able to be more still. Now, it doesn't mean I don't worry or that my brain doesn't go into those habits. I'm always working at this too. But then the heart, you got to start talking to your heart too. Ask your heart questions, because your heart is actually very clever. The heart is the seat of body memory, not the brain. The brain's good at a lot of stuff like logic and transactions and creative thinking and imaging, but the heart is actually the seat of actual body memory. And so when you tap into your body memory, she doesn't or he doesn't magnify stuff or erase stuff like the brain does or make stuff up. The heart is very steady. He or she has all the data from your lifetime from the very beginning of the very first heart cell. And the heart doesn't really regenerate the same way as the rest of the body. So your heart's a very beautiful library of your personal data as Elizabeth or as your body, right? So if you want to know, what the heart's perspective is, then you can ask and tap into your personal body memory. And it might not always show up as images, but for those of you who are empaths, you know exactly what I'm talking about because you can feel frequencies and you know what's familiar, you know what's new. Eventually, with practice, you know what belongs to you and what doesn't belong to you. And then you have the gut mind, which is your surviving and thriving information directly from the earth because it's actually the bacterium talking to you. So if you want to talk to the earth, then you got to talk to your gut. That's why our guts have been systematically destroyed by bad food and poison. That's why we've been cut off from the gut mind and lied to about our body. So you start doing that. You start talking to your gut. This is the first practical step to you beginning to recognize that your body is this incredible symbiotic being and you got to have a totally different relationship with him or her. And then once you're able to do that, you start to feel this sensation of being able to be bigger than your body while you're still feeling the sensations of the body. That's you being able to recognize and feel and connect to the soul. So you start to feel this sensation. It almost feels like you're both this formless, big, gigantic bubble of awareness that can expand and contract, and it can make itself really small or really big. It can go above the earth and hold the earth in its hand. It can hold the galaxy in its hand, or it can go and become tiny and microscopic and go hang out inside of a little cell and see how alive that little cell really is. And that's your soul. So the soul is really dynamic, and it's multifunctional in that it has access to all these different dimensions because of the body. And that's why the body is so miraculous. And so you start to open up more and more into dimensional thinking. So being able to perceive different realms, having your dream world open up more while you're even awake, being able to understand all possibilities, being able to start to recognize patterns in the universe, being able to look past the idea of good and evil, recognizing the perfection of all things and how much of our experience is phenomena beyond the stillness of your soul. And the soul itself is very still because that's your true self. And when you tap into the soul, the rest of it's all moving around, including the body. It has to in order to exist. But the soul comes from the void. The soul comes from beyond this universe. So it's naturally very still. And when you begin to recognize that, then you get access to all this other stuff. And it's so easy. All you have to do is just request. Source, let it be so that this pans out. Source, I need an answer to this. And then you just wait. And you'll always get your answer. You'll always watch things pan out in miraculous ways beyond your knowing. And they can be very quick. I've had a lot of moments where I'm like, stuff's going wrong big time today, right? This is a horrible situation. I start falling into the worry. My heart cinches up. My gut cinches up. Everyone's in survival mode. My body's ready to go to war. And I back up and I say, I relinquish this. I have no idea what the answer is. Let it be so that all of these things pan out in perfect divine order. Let it be so that karma and divine timing are fulfilled. And then I take a big, deep breath and let it go. And a lot of the times in 24 hours, it changes. So it's amazing how that works. And it's going to require your practice. But if you basically write on a big sticky note or put on your big chalkboard in your house or your dry erase board in gigantic letters, surrender. Write it on your hand every morning, whatever it takes. Surrender. Let it go. Give it to God, right? Then wait and watch. Notice how your body relaxes. Notice how you don't have to carry the burden anymore. Watch your body completely rewire and start to trust your soul more. And that trust, that beautiful divine trust between the soul, God, and your body starts to get cultivated. And then everything changes. Then you begin to watch how life starts to move you in certain directions. The voice of God moves through the people around you. You start to see the patterns. The thing that is blocking you has nothing to do with blockage. It's actually telling you to take that hard left for your own good. And we sit there and we pound our heads against the wall and say, why am I blocked? When it was never that way. It was actually God saying, look, if you go this way, it's really bad for you. You got to take this whole other way. Turn around and take the back door. Climb out the window, whatever I'm opening up for you, take it. And then you start to learn to live in that flow. And when you're in the flow, you start to feel it. You can feel the flow. You can feel it. And so then you trust, like, all right, I didn't want to move. I don't want to move. That doesn't sound very pleasant. I hate moving. I've moved 40 times in my life and I'm 42. And I'm like, I thought this was my forever home. And you know what? I'm 100% okay with the flow that God is asking me to be in, because I actually know that on the other side of it is incredible miracles. I know that because now I have experience with it. And as your body begins to have experience, then you don't worry. You just trust. And you just say, all right, whatever shows up, I know exactly the right thing will show up in the right way. I don't have any idea. Every time I try to think it out, not really sure. So I just let it go again because God will show me. And it always happens just as I said. So that's the practical ways of working with this.
Wow. Yeah. And yes, it does and will take practice. And with the practice, the trust builds and grows and develops and encourages us and empowers us. So, yeah,
Yes.
wow. It's a whole new way. It's a whole, well, yeah, again, readjusting or putting on our crowns and adjusting to this higher perspective. So let's get more personal with the practices. There are specific practices for each of us. Is it a good time to get into the intuitive readings? Yeah, because that's gonna illustrate, right, all the different practices, and I'm sure that everyone listening can, if you hear any practice that resonates for you, well, take it and make it yours as well, so that there's gonna be a whole pot of sharing practices. So to request your reading, everyone press *2 on the phone or click raise hand on the web to come on the line with Elizabeth, or place your request in the Q&A box on the web. And the question to ask is, what practice can I use to open up my creative flow from Inner Galactic Authority? And again, you can simply ask Elizabeth for a reading, and that's what she's going to read for you. So let's get started going through some of the live callers. Then we'll go in the Q&A. We have so many requests. It's really wonderful. Thank you, everyone. We're going to Ireland with Aidan. Unmuting you, Aidan. Hello.
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 Hi.
Welcome. Hi.
Hi. How are you, ladies?
Very good, thank you.
Good. So yeah, Elizabeth, I've done your 12 Light Bodies classes and they've been amazing, and I've already signed up for today's package. So thank you so much for the teacher that you are.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm
Thank
so glad.
you.
Yeah. So my question, what practice can I use to open up my creative flow from my inner galactic?
Good. So there's two different ways to answer this question. I'm just saying to everybody, it's either to remove a block or to begin a different new practice, right? And so I think that you're going to want to start to practice alchemy more deeply. And so instead of a block, this is going to be a new way of doing things. So let me give you my quick, dirty alchemy training, right? There's 3 ways to do alchemy. It's weaving, transmutation, and transubstantiation. The first one you can do in objects and living bodies. You can do it in your own body. You can create structures. And so what I would say is let your soul come through and just intend it. So you'd say it out loud. You'd use the word, the divine word, and you'd say, Source, let it be so today. So start your days out. Start in the morning and say, Source, let it be so that my true galactic authority and my soul's authority moves through my hands and my words and all things that I touch in threads of light, and let that soul's light weave into everything I do. And then you're going to image, right? All that light moving through the crown, moving through the heart, moving through your feet from the earth, all the way through your hands and your mouth when you speak and when you write emails and when you cook your food and when you touch the people you care about. And you can start weaving light into things. And so just get out of the way and let it occur. And then I would suggest that you start making structures. So you can build structures of light through intention. Imagine it and then let it move through your heart and expand out around you. You can build a structure around your home. You can build a structure around your body so that when you go out and about, you can intend for certain things to occur. Start out really slow. Start out as just protection and then maybe move on even more into invisibility and watch what happens. Notice that people who know you even can't see you because that kind of stuff actually works. And so you got to practice. You got to make yourself believe this stuff because you got to make it happen. And you're in the masculine form, so the physicality of your experience is very important. And then the next step is transubstantiation. You can take objects and you can actually ask them to have a different frequency for you and on your behalf. So I like to use crystals, but you can also ask the walls of your house. Don't forget to do the floors and the ceiling. You just ask, right? I need all of you walls here, please, to emanate this amazing healing frequency on my behalf and whatever other things you're intending for yourself. Sovereignty, galactic authority, all those are qualities that all of the objects around you can help you out with. And then the third one is portals, but you got to be careful with portals. Transubstantiation, it's basically, it looks like a door, it looks like a cell phone, it looks like a table, but it's not. It's a portal. And so you can do it with your electronics, but you just ask. Because you are a creator being and your awareness creates all physical reality, which we know is absolutely true in physics, then that means you can actually just have this beautiful relationship with the materium as a open-hearted man and say, hey, everything's kind of really glad to exist and it wants to help me out in turn. So you're going to ask the material objects to do certain things. In this case, you're going to say, I want you to become a portal for this quality of light. Now be careful, because this stuff's very, very real, and you can end up like locking yourself out of your house if you make it way too high of an energy. So just do qualities that'll work for you. Like I like to use angelic light. So I'll say because I don't want anybody who's possessed to walk into my house. And I've actually shown for a fact that happens. I've had a lot of examples where I had my doors be portals to angelic light, and people literally couldn't come into my house. They physically couldn't. So just be wise about how high of the energies you use, but I'd like for you to practice that all the time and just intend it so that you can tap into your galactic authority around being the alchemist magician that you are, right? And then go sit with the energetic of Merlin, right? Ask him.
Oh, I love Merlin. Me and Merlin have been connected.
Yeah, exactly. Go sit with him and just meditate with him and see what shows up, and ask to be informed by that soul, because that soul is one of the archetypes in the 6th dimension, and he's available to you.
Wonderful. Yes. And then yesterday I was actually being told about weaving. I was doing a meditation, and it was about secret weaving, and I was given a etheric weaver as a tool to start practicing with. So you're totally on point there. So thank you so much.
I'm so glad. Have lots of fun with it.
Thank you. Thank you, Aidan. Wow.
Oh, thank
Wow.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Blessings. Thank you. Wow. Okay, so much has come through. That's one reading. I'm sure that many of us have been taking notes and gather insights for themselves as well. So that's really wonderful, amazing. Okay, let's go to Queens, New York with Anne. I'm unmuting you, Anne.
Great, thank you for taking my question.
Yeah, you're welcome, Anne. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely learning something new, and my mind is like blown right now. So I'm absorbing everything. So I would love a reading. I do have a question about action, because what I'm hearing is, that you use your divine voice, right, to call it into existence. But I also learned from other teachers that there's also divine action that we take. So if you can speak a little bit into that also.
I'd love to. Divine action, so there's divine thought, divine word, and divine action in the divine laws, right? And it's actually your right. So there's rights and laws. But you have a right to have divine thoughts, divine word, divine action. Now, all of these things, these are not things that you think about. Okay, so if you're not sure if you're taking divine action, that's because you're thinking too hard. You don't sit there and say, I'm going to think divine thoughts right now. They just happen.
Right.
Because you're systematically objectifying. Now that's the key here. You have to objectify your trauma, your triggers, your reactions. You got to objectify your expectations, your attachments, your resistance, and your excuse me, the last one eluded me. But basically there's egoic structure. So you got to objectify it. And it's always going to show up as thoughts that come from your personality and your personal experience. And when those thoughts pop up, they're trying to make sense of something. They're trying to strategize a way through something. That's not divine thought. So if you have to sit there and think your way out of it or try to make sense of it, then that's not how divine thought feels. Divine thought feels more like it just arises and it makes total sense in that moment. You don't have to think about it at all. And it feels like, for me, it'll show up as images, because I'm really visual, obviously, or it'll feel really good. It'll feel like free. It'll feel, that feeling you get when you went swimming for a while and then you're done and you have all those endorphins in your body. That's how it feels. You feel just really light and you feel really good about it. And then divine words are the same. You don't have to think about them. There's no thought involved. They come through and they just feel really good to speak. It feels good to be in the divine order. And then lastly, divine action, it's the same. You don't have to think about it. You just know in that moment and you're compelled. And you actually feel this electromagnetic pull. It's a real actual pull. It feels like a magnet. It's a pull to do it. And it feels really good to fulfill it. Right? So that's how I experience divine thought, divine word, divine action. There's no thoughts involved. It's way beyond your thoughts. Right? Now, you've had experiences like that where you had to take action real quick and you couldn't think. You didn't have time to think. But when you fulfilled it, it felt so fulfilling. It felt so good to do it, right? So kind of tap into that experience and then your body will know, okay, now I know how to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, this is very synchronistic because in my morning walk this morning, I had an intention that I'm just going to start using my imagination to hear my divine guides.
Perfect.
And those were the thoughts that I finally realized.
That's a divine thought.
I finally realized that the knowing that I had, and then I just put it into words, and I became aware of it, and I was like, wow, that was my intuition all along.
Yeah, and it feels so good. Yeah, this is supposed to feel good. You know how hard it is to live in the Matrix?
I did not realize that until there was contrast.
Yeah, exactly.
I needed the contrast.
Yeah.
So
all
this
right.
is a follow-up.
Here's what I want to help you with to clean up the mind, and this is for you, but it's also for everybody because I kept seeing it earlier. And it's a practice. I don't like to teach this one, but I believe that this audience is very advanced, and so I'm going to teach all of you how to do this. And so this is a cool practice that's going to empty out the basement of your subconscious. The subconscious is very powerful, and it has a lot of cardboard cutouts of a bunch of stuff, drama, trauma, made-up stuff, all sorts of things down there. Good things too, but traumatized versions of yourself, you got it, right? It's like a big basement of stuff. And so you need to clean up your subconscious. And when you do that, you're going to have much easier divine thoughts, right? It's going to be easier for the thoughts to arise through your mind. And the trick is you don't do this for very long. Don't do this for more than like 20 or 30 seconds a day. Right? So really nice trick here that you don't have to spend very long on. Now just get a totally new notebook and you're going to call it My Subconscious Yard Sale.
Okay.
And each day you're going to use a new page. Now, key here is it's really important to have some kind of emotional processing technique. For me lately, it's to just offer stuff up, to feel it fully and then offer up that emotion. So that can be very useful, and I think that emotional processing should be simple like that because we don't really have time to delve deep into the depths of our trauma and try to figure stuff out these days. It's important to feel the emotion fully and then offer it up. Mm-hmm. So the first page, each day you take a new page and you get your pencil and you say, subconscious, show me some stuff that's ready to go. And then you start to stream of thought, write down whatever random stuff shows up, right? So for me, if I do it just real time right now, I ask that and I see this bright color red. So I'm going to put color red, and then it makes me feel this deep anger in my belly. So I'm going to put anger in my belly. And then the next thing would be this ring of fire around me, and I'm going through a lot of strange things, so that doesn't really surprise me that I'm having this experience really quick as I'm pulling up stuff from my subconscious, right? And it's just going to be random, and stuff might not be related totally to each other, and certain things that you have on there, it'll be from your childhood, it'll be images, it'll be feelings, it'll be colors, it'll be logical stuff, illogical stuff, all sorts of things. And objects, animals from your childhood, all kinds of things. And so don't expect that there's going to be anything in particular. But just write for about 10, 20, maximum 30 seconds until you get a good page full of stuff and then stop. And then take a big deep breath and just notice which things on that list elicit the most energy and the most emotion, then you take a deep breath and start to feel those feelings really deeply. And then you offer them up as a blessing. So you say, Source God, take this feeling of deep anger in my belly and my body. I free myself from it. Take it from me and turn it into blessings for the people around me. Let it be so. And then you finalize it with another deep breath. If you can do this just for 1 minute a day, you're going to start to find that your subconscious gets a lot clearer. Stuff starts to become more recent. You'll notice that it's more recent, like kind of what just happened to me. It has more to do with my recent stuff because I'm doing this all the time. Eventually you get good at it, so you don't need your pages of paper. You can just pull up subconscious stuff and start handing it off all to Source all the time. And as you clean up your subconscious, your divine thoughts will be much easier, and your divine words and your divine action will be much easier. So hopefully that will help you.
I love it. I'm going to start it today.
And
thank you for the modeling.
Yeah.
Thank you for the modeling
Yeah.
and how you do it. So that's extremely helpful.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. It's just super fast. Don't even think about it. Let your subconscious get a chance to just vent.
Yeah.
Good.
Wow.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Super
Thank
glad
you.
I resonate
Thank you,
very
Anne.
deeply with this. Thank you so much,
Thank
Elizabeth.
you.
You're welcome.
Blessings. Wow. What a treasure. What a treasure of practices. What a treasure. You've authored us to, I mean, a bunch of treasures before we started the readings, but these two readings were really, really profound and special. Thank you. We'll come back for more, but for now, I would like you to share about the wonderful offering that you've created, Elizabeth, Galactic and Earth History. It's really all about weaving, a weaving of wisdom and knowledge in alchemical storytelling. So we'd love to hear all about it before we return to more treasures of readings. So for everyone to follow, if you're on the phone, you can go on the web to gracefulconnections.com. That's graceful with 2 L's, as in full of grace, gracefulconnections.com/Elizabeth5. So the digit 5, Elizabeth digit 5. If you're on the webcast, you have a button and a link. You can click there. If you're on the replay, just scroll down the page and discover Elizabeth's special offer. Elizabeth, please reveal what you've created for our audience.
Thank you. My pleasure. So for a long time, I wanted to tell people the parables of our galactic past and our earthly past. And they're parables, right? So I don't want people to treat it as like actual straight form historical knowledge. But I basically based it off of my memories of my past lives, the memories of other people's past lives, and ancient text. And so I created first a series of our stories about what happened in our galaxy, like how exactly was the human being created in DNA? Who are the Syrians? What happened with the Pleiadians? Who are the Arcturians? What was going on in our history? Why did the galactic wars start? All of these different things. And they're very profound and really intense stories. I loved being able to share them. And there's quite a few of them. For the first part, it's 12 parts. And they're about 2 or 3 hours long. And there's questions in there, too, that people asked. And then the second item is, what happened with Homo sapiens here on Earth? How was the Earth created? Because our planet was actually a creation, and it was an epic creation, right? And so I talk about the creation of the planet and all of these different histories. Now, of course, it was impossible for me to be able to tell all of the details of our parables of our actual history, but I give you some really good points on different specific times, many of which we're familiar with. And so I talk about the dragons and elves and men. I talk about Lemuria. I talk about the creation of Homo sapiens and that there were 12 Adam and Eves. I talk about the tree of knowledge, what happened with Cain, all the different kind of entrances of darkness and the problems and amazing things that we have panned out here on our planet up until this moment. So I finally lead you to the rise and fall of the Dark Order, the end of the galactic wars, which you are part of currently. And then the next part is that we go into I believe, did we have a extra piece that we were going to offer that was just for people who were buying today, or
Yes,
did we?
yes, yes, yes. We're gonna talk. Well, we can talk about it now if you want.
Sure. You'll have to the
You
bonus.
have to buy until by Sunday, this Sunday, May 11th at midnight Pacific, so you have a bit of time. But it is a fast action bonus. It is
Yeah.
creating and maintaining spiritual power.
Yeah, so it's nice to be able to tap into all of our history, but if you're able to purchase this before the 11th, then you'll get this really special class I taught about spiritual power. And really, spiritual power has to do with divine thought, divine word, divine action. And how do you create it? How do you maintain it? Right? How do you create power? You are a source of power. You're a sun. You're a star. Part of it's getting out of the way, but I give you a lot of really specific mysticism. It's a mystical training on how to create and maintain spiritual power, right? And it's unique to then physical power.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make this package really affordable. I made it 147 and just really make it easy for you to connect to your history. And so far, I've had just really fantastic testimonials from these people opening up more deeply into their soul, into their galactic authority. And I couldn't really think of anything better than wonderful stories to elicit that feeling of connection.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you. Okay, let me add a few points. It is very generously priced, so thank you for that. In addition, there is a PayPal for payment option available in many countries, so making it even more accessible. The fast action bonus, the creating and maintaining spiritual power, is until Sunday at midnight Pacific. One thing I'd like to ask you, Elizabeth, about this package of stories, this collection of stories, if you can pinpoint to why does it matter? Why is it important? It's not about only just to satisfy our curiosity, right? So what effect do these stories have on our being?
Well, I can tell you what effect it had on me. The way that all this happened actually was that I'd allude to stuff, but then people would say, well, wait a minute, where's all that coming from? And I'd say, well, it's coming from my soul. And then people wanted to know more. Well, how is that tied to a deeper history? So finally, after much anticipation and a lot of people asking me, I decided to tell the story. Now, I knew sort of what order I wanted to tell these stories, but I didn't actually know exactly what I was going to say. None of these stories that I told were written down. I didn't outline them beforehand. In fact, I didn't think about them at all. And instead, I got into the position that I get into when I'm teaching, when I'm speaking, when I'm doing readings, and I got out of the way so fully that, in fact, I don't even really remember exactly what I said. But the stories that came through were directly from my soul's memory, from my galactic authority. As a Lyran being who remembers, who's a keeper of knowledge and memory. And so it felt beyond immense from my soul, an action of great divine power for me to share these stories from the essence of my heart, from the power of my divine memory beyond my Elizabeth self. And what it does is it's soul-to-soul interaction. So that those stories draw out your soul too. They draw out your deeper memories too. So I had people message me and say, today I listened to this story and I burst into tears and I don't even know why, and I felt such a huge heart opening and I felt totally different afterwards. And so it feels like you just spoke to my soul. That's exactly what happened. So this is the way that we can work in our future. It's basically a showcase of how it looks and feels to be in divine thought, word, and action, and let your soul do all of the work. Let Source do all of the work through you. It was the divine will that was speaking through me, not Elizabeth's will. And then that draws out your divine will, because soul to soul interaction, it's like water droplets. We just want to be together. We want to connect in that way. So that's what will happen to people when they listen to these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. May I share? Because I had to be honest, I had a sneak peek into
Good.
the
I'm glad
first
you
class. To know, okay, what are we talking about here? So I listened to the first class, and wow, it really blew my mind, because it is so beyond what I could have imagined. And I made a few notes on what it brought through for me. Specifically, I'm sure there was a lot more going on, but things that were so noticeable. For example, you shared about the first moment of grief that
Yes.
humanity experienced, and that to me brought um, a reconciliation within me with the depth of grief that I've been feeling, that I've been wondering where is that coming from, and I've been able to relate it to some specific, not only of my own experience and past lives, but also the Orion Wars. But when you talked about the first moment of grief, it was like, oh, okay. So this reconciliation, another reconciliation that I experienced is when you talked about the primary reason for having a body. Now, for me, I've experienced a lot of anger at having a body, and why I felt like, why do I have this body now? I heard how you invited us to talk to our body, and it was in the past, right? I had this anger at having a body. Now, when you revealed the primary reason for having a body, if I had any leftover of that anger, it really was brushed away. So what I want to bring with this is how these stories, for the little, I mean, I just heard one out of 20, right? It brings a deep reconciliation with the human state of being and with the depth of some of our emotional burdens. That was my experience. Also, one thing that I noted that you talked about is how these stories bring such a degree of compassion for one another and for all the different species out there, and how this compassion is so necessary for bringing the peace, right? And
Yes.
I felt, and this really resonated with me. And so this is not, as I said, this is not just to satisfy our curiosity. There is a depth of how we are touched, and that's just my example with one story, right?
Yes.
But what I wanted to convey is how deep it can go. Yeah.
Yes, it's very healing. Yeah, and one of the things that, because each story is really unique, and then makes things on Earth make a lot more sense. And while we were doing the galactic history, people were like, "Wait a minute, how does this apply to Earth? How does this apply to Earth?" And I'm like, "Hang on a minute, we gotta get the galactic history first, because then the Earth history is gonna make a bazillion times more sense." And it does, because everything in the galactic history, there's patterns, there's templates of trauma, there's templates of breakthroughs that we're playing out here. And it makes it all make much more sense. So for just real quick example, the Syrian epic, it's all about the war between the masculine and feminine. And then we bring it back here to Earth, and we discover, my goodness, that whole dynamic is being healed and played out right now in real time. And then the Pleiadians, it was racism. Same thing here on Earth, right? And so everything that the galactic part shows then also plays out into the microcosm of the Earth, and it makes everything pan out in a different way. And I answer a lot of really epic questions, everything from why you don't want to be immortal in a body, and very fascinating ideas like that, or why did evil end up even coming to Earth in the first place? How did that happen? what were some of the mistakes we made? What are some of the breakthroughs we've made? What are the things that went right? What are the things that went wrong? And how we're healing them within ourselves now. And it gives you a completely different sense of yourself.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I'm glad actually you mentioned the Epic of Sirius episode, because you kindly offered it as the welcome gift, as your welcome gift. So for everyone, you can, it's more than a sample. You have one chapter of these 20 that is gifted to you so gracefully by Elizabeth, the Rivers of Red, the Epic of Sirius. So make sure to go and collect your welcome gift, and this will give you the experience, one of the experiences of what these stories are and how they are being offered and delivered. I mean, to me it feels like sitting in the living room with you and having you in my own living room talking to me and speaking to me. So it is very lively. It's just fascinating, and I'm so grateful.
I picked that one on purpose because I want it, because the masculine feminine dynamic is at its peak of healing right now. Yeah. And we have a choice to build a bridge between one another and do it very consciously, but we have to understand why we ended up having any issues in the first place. Right. History can heal you.
Yeah. Wow. That's a whole treasure of history for healing that you're offering with this package, and thank you for making it so accessible. So Galactic and Earth history with the fast action bonus until Sunday. Really seize this opportunity is all I can say. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. So let's go back to our readings.
Yes,
I want to take one request from let's go to the Q&A and we'll come back to live callers. We're going to go to Singapore with Lucille. So for Lucille, what practice can she use?
Thank you, Lucille. So I'm just kind of tapping in. And so how I do it, and everyone can do this, everybody's psychic. I just have a lot of practice. I ask, right? It's not, this is the fascinating part about spiritual gifts. I just ask. Source, show me what Lucille needs to know right now, right? So by asking the question, she's given me consent, which is really important when you're dealing with sovereign beings. And so I see Lucille's house and I see her embodiment, and I see a specific quality of energy around her. And I'm not making this up. I just am shown it, right? I get to see it, but I experience it very full body. So Lucille, there's a block here, and I'm just asking Source, what is it that can help you right now to unblock yourself? Part of it's cultural conditioning. So cultural conditioning creates those very quiet little doubts in our head. And the quiet little doubts, they're very important. The quiet little doubts are the nuts and bolts that hold together our relationship with the matrix. So let me clarify. We have a deep-seated relationship with the control mechanisms of the Dark Order. The Dark Order are those beings who want to have 100% control over all DNA, and that's the heart of the Dark Order. I describe all of that in our history classes that I've put in that package. But the importance is that you understand what the matrix really is. We call it a matrix because it's very structural, it's very highly organized, and there's a deep hierarchy. And so we are born in families oftentimes that don't fully grasp what any of that means. And so we are taught very specific things like, oh, well, the man is supposed to go to work and the woman is supposed to stay home and raise children, and then none of that's natural. And so in natural law, our lives are going to look completely different. It'll look much more natural and unique and working with Gaia and the earth. And so we have the doubts, though. We have doubts that show up, and they're often very quiet. Those doubts you can feel them. They often feel like an energy that is on the back of the head, the back of the spine, in a way that we're like basically trying to turn away from it. We don't want to look at it, so it'll hook into different blind spots, as I call it. And I have them too, so I can relate to them. But these blind spots, they're stuff that we have learned, and they show up as subtle judgments. They're subtle judgments of ourselves, and they're subtle judgments of others. So Lucille, how do you clean up judgment, and how exactly is it going to look on the other side of that cleanup? The opposite, cleaned up, healed version of judgment is actually discernment. And so your discernment is being distorted, and this happens to everybody, but the discernment is being distorted by trauma and by cultural conditioning. So we will have some of these conditions that we've been taught, right? And it'll show up in unusual ways, like, well, my grandma would always tell me to stay away from certain kinds of people because they could be dangerous, right? And even though I mentally didn't believe her, there's a subtlety to that trauma that my grandmother had that she passed down to me, where I just kind of unknowingly, unconsciously avoid those same exact kinds of people, even though that's not in my true nature. That's not in my sovereign galactic authority to do that. And I want you to start tracking these judgments. So you're going to hopefully maybe, the way that I would do it, if I was to take this mystical task really seriously, is I would actually start out with a little notebook. And at the end of the day, I would sit down and I'd say, when did I feel uncomfortable and not acknowledge my discomfort? Just start there. When did I feel uncomfortable and not fully acknowledge my discomfort? Then you get an opportunity to acknowledge it. Well, I felt uncomfortable when I was sitting at my desk at work, and that one male coworker came over and he was kind of standing over me and he was saying something. And I just felt uncomfortable. It was subtle. Or I felt uncomfortable when I was standing at the bus stop and that one group of people came by and they said a bunch of random things that made me feel really off, right? These are subtle, very subtle discomforts, and those actually create judgments and actually cause us to act out of discomfort that doesn't feel the same as divine action, right? And so you're trying to get into divine action. This is keeping you from it, these subtle discomforts. So what I'm saying to Lucille and most of us is that most of us are not terribly judgmental of everybody, where we're sitting there bitterly angry and complaining about everybody, right? It's actually, judgment is most of the time really subtle. But Lucille, it's not just for other people, it's for yourself too. When you look in the mirror, when you get undressed and you look in the mirror, do you have that subtle discomfort that shows up? Because I do. And that's cultural conditioning to believe that my body is supposed to be a certain way, even though I've had 3 kids and I'm 42. I'm not going to look like I'm 18 again, but that judgment is there. It's because I was traumatized as a young person to believe I had to look a certain way to be beautiful, right? And so if you can acknowledge this discomfort and feel it truly and then offer it up, watch how much more free you are, and also watch this amazing miracle happen. Watch how much your body changes when you choose to love her unconditionally, and watch how the discomfort from interactions that you don't want or little things that bug you stop happening. Because what happens is your soul gets run through that trauma and it creates a Batman sign for problems. Instead of the Batman sign for a hero, it's a projection of energy that you're not necessarily able to perceive, but it actually attracts more uncomfortable problems. Because it basically says, well, this person's emanating this energy this must be a fine space for these problems to play out. So as you start to acknowledge them and then you offer them up, feel them, feel the discomfort more fully, own it, and then give it to God. And as you give it to God, you're going to start to experience these uncomfortable moments less and less and less, and you'll start to have more and more divine thought, divine word, divine action, and you'll feel a lot better in your own skin, and your body can actually heal and transform and be a lot more beautiful in ways that you never imagined, ways that we can't discover in the Matrix, but can only be discovered in divine order.
All right. Thank you. Wow. Thank you, Lucille. Many blessings to you. Thank you for bringing that. For many of us are going to take this practice as well. Thank you. Okay. Let's go back to take a live caller. We're going to England with Mary. I'm unmuting you in Lancashire. Mary. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Mary. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome. Hi.
Hello, Elizabeth.
Hi.
Well, yeah, my question is the standard one you've presented.
Of course.
Because it's intriguing. And why our galactic authority?
What practice, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but why calling on our galactic authority?
Okay.
Especially.
Well, especially now we have to be sovereign if we're going to win the war, and we're going to win the war by becoming the superpower of humanity, Homo luminous, that we are, right? So I akin it to, look, what you don't remember, which I'm trying to help everybody remember in your galactic authority, is that you are literally like an atomic bomb. The Dark Order is like a squirt gun.
Okay.
And if you're standing in your true power, then it ends the war, because you don't want to fight somebody who has an atom bomb if you have a squirt gun. So then they stop fighting us. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to kick them out of the galaxy, because that didn't work and it's not going to work. Instead, we're going to make friends with all of these interesting, crazy beings. And we're going to learn from them, and they're going to learn from us. And we're going to change the complete dynamic by being the superpower that we actually are. We are a very unique species. I have remote viewed this universe, and obviously not the whole thing, that's impossible, but I've remote viewed a lot of stuff all over beyond this galaxy. Humans are incredibly unique. There isn't really anything quite like DNA, and DNA has access to all 12 dimensions at once. There's not a lot of beings like that. The whole galactic war started because beings that didn't have that access wanted to have that superpower, but they didn't know how to create DNA. They never will. They've tried. They can't. They want to have control over it then if they can't make it. And it's because we are the superpower. And so once we start to figure that out and remember it, then we end the war. We end the war simply by being as powerful as we really are. And so that's why.
And as valuable as we are.
Exactly. Yes, precisely that. But more so, then we can also value the beings that have been our adversaries. I no longer see our adversaries as problematic. I see them as a huge potential source of incredible wisdom and knowledge. And having interacted with many of them, they're incredibly interesting, and they have incredible power of their own that's worth learning from. So, and I've had all sorts of terrible run-ins, but the fact is that none of that bothers me anymore. Now I see the truth. And the truth is that if I can stand in my power, why are all eyes on us? Why does everybody keep abducting humans? Well, that's why, is because we're really that powerful. So we're not, if we can remember and recreate our reality by owning our galactic authority and our immortal souls, then we end up having a very different experience, and our bodies change along with it. Even the Shuar natives, because I live in Ecuador here, and over the mountain in the Amazon jungle near me are the Shuar and the Quechua people and many other tribes. and they don't have access to any kind of academics, and some of them have never even seen white people. And they all know the truth. They know about the 12,000-year galactic cycle and the pole shift. They know about the evolution of humankind. They talk about Homo luminous, the human of light, and how we're becoming that and how it's time to become that. Even they know, and they're connected to the earth. So they know what the galactic authority is inside of them. If they can know, and they're living out in the woods, completely disconnected, then we certainly can. So believe in yourself. And then as for you, I have an interesting little job for you.
Oh, yeah.
There's a really special way of connecting to creation and destruction. There's 4 specific ways that the universe functions, laws of the universe: protection, creation, destruction, and integration. And I want to give you a chance to connect especially to creation and destruction, but then the other forms of energy as well. And so here's a little task for you. Each day I want you to create a little vignette. A vignette is like a little micro temple. It's like a little micro altar. Just a little bitty one. Maybe the size of your hand. Pick a spot, a different spot in your house every day. Maybe it'll be on your kitchen counter one day and then your bathroom counter the next day. But I want you to make a little vignette, a little altar that's simply going to express your divine expression without any boundaries, without any need for it to be perfect. Just make it tiny and cute. It can include stuff from the yard. It can include jewelry. It can include little pictures of people that you care about, or whatever you want. It can even include like food stuffs if you want. You could make a little vignette out of all the carrot tops that you chopped off or something. It can be made of anything, right? A little vignette in the morning each day that expresses your perfect self-expression, and it's just that. It's playful. There isn't any other more powerful meaning than simply to express yourself in a tiny little way, right? And then at night, I want you to sit with it with great gratitude and then destroy it. And it creates a different relationship with death because there isn't any death. The memory of your vignette shows up still in your heart space. You can take a little picture of it too if you like to save the memory of it. And each time it will be a little more unique expression. Each time it's totally unique and different. And that's how divine creation ought to be. Every time we express ourselves, it's going to be unique and different because you're in a different time and space, and the Earth's in a different place in space, and the galaxy's in a different space, because that's novelty. And novelty is the whole point of consciousness. So that's going to connect you to the galaxy and the universe, is this novel little tiny self-expression each day. And then the destruction and appreciation of it, showing you that destruction actually can be an act of incredible gratitude and power too. So I want you to play with that and make it really playful and bring the fairies in to help you.
I will. That's
beautiful. What a beautiful practice.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank
you. Blessings. Thank you. Wow, what a beautiful practice. Okay, we can feel free to steal it from Mary. We're a very sharing community. So thank you, Elizabeth. How are we doing with time? Are you good to keep going a little bit? Or, okay, because we have so many hands raised and questions in the Q&A, so it will be lovely to have more coming through. So let's go to Edmonton with Carrie. I'm unmuting you, Carrie. Hello.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Sorry, I'm not familiar with this platform.
That's okay. You're welcome.
I've been taking lots of notes. It seems to me that every time I listen to Elizabeth, I have to re-listen and re-listen. Elizabeth, I had a question. The last few days, I'm having issues with feeling extremely alone, which is very rare. And I'm wondering what sort of tools that I can use to have that connection that doesn't feel forced
let's
with
do
my
it right now.
galactic authority. Thanks.
Yeah, let's do it right now. First, I want you to step back in your mind and in your heart and bow to your body internally and just bow to her. And I want you to say it out loud. Thank you so much, body, for being with me.
Thank you so much, body, for being with me.
And then I want you to imagine your body like a little star in front of you. And then your soul is a big star. And the big star is just holding her in its awareness. You're a big star and you're holding the body in your awareness like a little star in your hands. And just take a deep breath. And now I want you to imagine all of the other living beings around you. There's a lot more than you think. There's little dust mites in the floor. There's all these little bacterium all over the place. There's lots of plants and animals inside and out. And just take a deep breath and see that they are all little stars too. And just accept them and bow to them too. And now reach out a little farther with your awareness and all the people that you care about, all the people on this call, our beautiful hostess, myself. Imagine them as stars out there too. And see how much light is actually coming into your field. The light of their awareness, it's all pure soul's light in Indra's net. And take a deep breath. And just feel that Indra's net. It's beyond your knowing. It's beyond the soul. It's the connection to all the different souls, like an incredible constellation of light, right? And they're freely giving you the light of their awareness. And you're freely giving them the light of your awareness, just like the actual stars in our sky do with each other. Right? And now notice that your aloneness starts to shift. Right? And now I want you to say out loud with me, say, Source God.
Source God.
Let it be so.
Let it be so.
That I have perfect divine self-expression.
That perfect divine self-expression.
That is available to all beings on Indra's net.
That is available to all beings on Indra's net.
Let it be so that I receive the perfect self-expression of everyone else.
Let it be so that I receive the perfect self-expression from everyone else.
Without any distortion of trauma.
Without any distortion of trauma.
Let it be so that I have the right divine perfect relationships.
Let it be so that I have the right divine perfect relationships.
In perfect divine order and timing.
In perfect divine order and time.
Good. And take a deep breath and let your body express itself, right? It needs to cry. Good. And just let it be so. And so if you like to finalize it with an amen or an aho or let it be so, I like all of that. Yeah, good. Good. Now this is your prayer. And every day I want you to say it. And I want you to do this practice. And you're going to erase the false light of loneliness. Now I want you to take the loneliness and put it out in front of you. It is like a big ball of metallic heavy energy, right?
Okay.
Take it out of your heart. And hold it in front of you. It's just a big, silvery, heavy ball, right? And just offer it up. I want you to literally, physically, put it up to the sky and say, Source God, take this from me and turn it into blessings for all of those who feel lonely right now.
Source God, take this from me. Turn it into blessings for all those that need it right now.
That's right. And see how much more free you are?
Yeah.
Yeah, it works. And there might be layers to this, but one layer at a time. Until one day you're just not going to feel lonely anymore. You'll experience Indra's net all the time because you got to recognize Indra's net and you also have to recognize the distortion that's keeping you from it, and you offer that distortion, that heaviness, that consciousness under pressure up all the way. Free yourself each time, turn it into blessings, and then you make room. You then reflect out into the world your perfect self-expression that attracts all these really great people into your life in magical ways that you have no idea are going to happen.
Thank you.
Good. You're welcome. And let yourself feel your feelings. If your body's sad because it's been trying to figure out all this stuff, let her be sad. Just hold her.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sweetie.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Carrie.
you.
Thank you. I'm sure many in the audience can and will use this practice as well. So thank you for bringing this
It's
to come
immense.
through.
The loneliness kills people. The guilt kills
Yeah.
people. You know, people get really sick because of these particular feelings. But you don't have to carry them in your body.
Yeah. Thank you. Whew, okay, wow. Next, let's take one from the Q&A. Let's go to Houston with Deki, D-E-K-I, Deki, I suppose that's how we're gonna say Deki. I'm gonna say Deki. Deki in Houston, what practice can Deki use to open up?
Thank you. Yeah, Deki's a good friend of mine, so I'm just
Okay,
asking
there we go.
So I see a very Arcturian cool thing coming up. It's a practice that I've never seen before, so I'm going to try to describe it. And so the information is that of the butterfly. And that's appropriate because there's tons of butterflies outside my window at the moment. But the butterfly is to actually allow your body to act like that, to actually have butterfly wings. And so when we look at butterfly wings, they're perfectly symmetrical, and it's about symmetry. And so from the heart space, there's an energy that goes up and out the crown and then down and around, and then it hits the heart, and then it goes down the midline of the body and down through the legs and out again, like another Taurus energy, and then it goes back up through. So it has to do with breathing too. So if you can imagine that energy like butterfly wings, it's moving up and out your crown. You take a deep breath in, and then you breathe out as it comes back into the heart, and then it goes down again. You take a deep breath with the lower wings, and it hits your feet and comes back up through the inner legs, through the root into the heart again. And so it's a double breath exercise to activate. And I don't use the word activate very often unless I really mean it. It activates the double torus of the body so that there's proper movement of energy. And what I'm seeing is that your body feels disoriented and wonky a little bit, like some days one side's heavier than the other, or one leg's shorter than the other, and that the wonkiness can be healed with this easy breath work. And you can do it while you're laying down, you can do it while you're sitting or standing. I think it'd be feel really good if you were standing on the earth and letting yourself do this breathing technique a few times, and let that energy move up through you, down through your galactic authority, and try this idea of the butterfly wings to create symmetry in your physical form. So that's what I'm noticing, because I know that you and I are very galactically oriented, but sometimes we got to ground in the body and breath work, and then visualizing how the energy is supposed to move in that double torus, I think is going to help you a lot.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Deki, blessings. That's another one that many of us are going to want to play with. Thank you. Let's go back to a live caller. We're going to have Christel. I'm unmuting you, Christel. Hello.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
Christel.
Welcome.
Hi. Thank you. I just wanted to ask the same the template question, please.
What practice?
Yes. What practice? Thank you.
Very good. Let me look here. It's a psychic practice. So I know you want to turn your third eye on more, but you don't need to worry about turning it on. It's a muscle, right? So the muscle is internal and external, and there's nothing wrong with your third eye. only 1% of human beings have any problem with their third eye, really. It's really a matter of practices. And if you do the right ones, then you're going to strengthen your muscle. So here's 2 practices. The second one is really intense. The first one's very playful, and you can even play it with other people like a game. And so the first one, I want you to get 3 containers. They can be preferably not clear containers. They could be like 3 boxes that are identical, but 3 containers. Or you can even use like cups, right, and flip the cups over. And then you want to get 3 different objects. You could do 3 different crystals. They don't have to be similar. They could be 3 completely different objects that fit in the containers, right? And then you're going to mix them up. You're going to mix them around. Now, first, before you put them in the containers, you're going to hold them in your hand, right? So let's say you have a little figurine. I see a troll doll. You remember the troll dolls from the 90s? Like a little troll doll. There's that one, and then maybe a crystal, and then a box of Tic Tacs. You know, I'm just totally random things that fit in your hand, right? So you have your little troll doll in your hand, and you close your eyes. Look at it first with your 3D eyes, and then close your eyes and just imagine it in your hand right in front of you. Now, the version that you're going to see with your third eye is not 3D, it's 4D. It's the 4th dimension. It's not going to look the same as the 3D. 4D doesn't look the same. Psychic seeing does not look exactly the same. Although it can be highly accurate, it's not going to look the same. 4D is way more fluid, right? So the troll doll might be like moving around, and it might be different colors or whatever. But just notice that. And take note of how it looks different. And then do it with each object, right? And then you put them in the containers, and you mix the containers up. And now you have them in front of you, and you close your eyes, and you ask to see which object is in which container. And you'll see the 4D version of it, the quality of light that shines from it. You'll see the 4D version of it. Keep practicing with this. You'll be very surprised at how accurate you are. And it'll help build your confidence, because it's a game you can't really screw up, and nobody wins or loses, and you don't always get it right, and neither do I, and I'm a super psychic. But it's really fun to play that way, and you can play it with friends too. It can be a fun party game, but you can see how actually real psychic you are. The second one is more private, and this can be really intense. And some people have tried this before, but I want you to try it every day. And I want you to look at yourself at different times. You're going to go and you're going to look in the mirror. You're going to do some eye gazing of yourself in the mirror, right? And really look at yourself with your 3D eyes open, and then you're going to close your eyes and look at yourself in the 4th dimension. You obviously are not going to look at all like you look in the 3D. You're going to see more of your actual soul's light. You're going to see the immortal being that you are. And it can be very moving and very intense. And I want you to look at yourself at different times. Maybe when you have a really hard day, I want you to look at yourself and see what is the difference in your energy. Then I want you to go look at yourself when you're really, really happy, or when you've had a little too much to drink, or, just pick really funny random times that are different from each other and notice the difference in your soul's energy, right? So that's some practices that are going to help build up your confidence and your recognition that you indeed are not the body named Christel, that you are something else, much more amazing, that's immortal and has that galactic authority, right? Does that all make sense?
It does. It does. Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I love doing psychic games. There's a ton. You can also use colorful books. So, like, I have a crystal encyclopedia, and I do it with my kids. And my kids are very accurate. And we'll keep our eyes shut, and we'll flip open to a page, and we'll say, well, I see this color. And then oftentimes, a lot of times my kids are more correct than I am. But it shows them then that they too are psychic, and that it's not a scary thing. It can be really a beautiful way to practice.
is there any sort of a the objects that you use matter? Like, if I use my
No,
guitar
it
pick
doesn't
and then I
matter.
feel, but it might be easier, even though if it's like an object I have emotional resonance with.
Sure. No, there's
Okay.
nothing that really makes it easier, but yeah, if you want to try it that way and see if there's a difference, there might be a difference for you.
Cool. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Christel. Blessings. Yeah, that's another one we're going to play with. Wow, so many gifts you have gifted us. Let me wrap up our special offer, your special offer, Elizabeth. Galactic and Earth history, powerful journey into our past, a weaving of wisdom and knowledge in alchemical storytelling. So it includes the relevant history part 1, that's our galactic past. That's a 12-part series. And the relevant history part 2, the epic of Homo sapiens. That's an 8-part series. Each of these, so the 20 of them all together, are each 2 to 3 hour episode. You get the video format, you get the audio format, and the transcript. So we really get served very perfectly. Thank you for that. Go to gracefulconnections.com/Elizabeth5. On the web, you have the button and the link on the replay. Scroll down the page to find all the details and purchase with the fast action bonus until Sunday, May 11th at midnight Pacific, creating and maintaining spiritual power. Thank you for offering this beautiful and wonderful and powerful package, Elizabeth, and making it so accessible. Are there any closing words? Thank you. Any closing words you would like to offer? You've offered so much already, but if there's anything you want to add for closing, you're very welcome.
Just this final piece around, just remember that being in divine order feels good. That allowing your galactic authority, it's not supposed to be any work. Allowing your earthly sovereignty, it doesn't require you to take a lot of effort because it's actually surrender. Let me give you an idea here. The dimensions, a lot of the times we find ourselves sort of marching forward into dimensions of consciousness or marching forward into growth. We call it ascension, and it sounds like climbing a mountain. But there's a point in consciousness when you do get to the top of the mountain where you have to fall backwards. And that's what I'm talking about. It takes surrender. It takes some real guts to say, I'm going to fall backwards into the eye of God, and I'm going to become that. I'm going to allow the God's love to move through me and see me truly, love my body as a child of God. And now I'm going to turn around. I'm going to fall backwards into the higher states of reality. That's your true nature. And so you do climb, to a certain point. And what you're doing is climbing out of all of your programming, climbing out of your cultural conditioning, climbing out of the judgment and the trauma. And then you end up in this state of being where you don't know how to move forward, but you know you're supposed to go somewhere from there. That's your chance. You're there now. You're at that moment. It's your chance now. Fall backwards. That's the secret of mysticism. It's a secret that has to be passed down through lineages. And that secret is that the way through the rest of the higher dimensions is backwards. You fall into perfect surrender. That's the divine order. That's how it feels. And you're free. And so what is falling on purpose? Well, it's flying. Right? Falling on purpose is flying. And that's how it feels. You begin to feel real freedom. You are free. You've always been free. And all the rest of it was the illusion of effort, the illusion of phenomena and work and all these things. And in the end, you're going to perceive them as all perfect. That there's no such thing as trauma that is worthless. But that it was all in perfection, and it's in fact your inheritance, your treasure that you get to offer up Like we offered up loneliness, like we can offer up any of our bad feelings. You need to feel them, that's true, because you came to be informed by all of that. But then you get to relinquish them and turn them into wonderful blessings to all the people that need them. And if you keep doing that, then things are literally physically going to get brighter, literally, because everything that's distorting in your field has kept you from being able to perceive with both your third eye and your physical eyes at the same time. It's actually a physical, actual phenomenon where everything becomes brighter. So I want you to keep trying at it. Keep playing with these ideas. It's playful. And keep surrendering over and over and over again. And you'll get what I mean in the end, that every time you come up with a worry or a trouble or a problem in front of you, the more you surrender it, the more clear it becomes, so that you can actually work with that divine galactic authority and your earthly sovereignty, as well as the nature of your soul, so that you're in divine thought, divine word, divine action all the time, and it feels wonderful. Being human is supposed to feel that way, and it's extraordinary. We can feel great suffering and great, immense wonder and light all at the same time, and that's absolutely what being human is all about. So that dynamic is there for you, and it's for your taking, and it's the best time ever to take part in it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this. What a beautiful closing word. Thank you. Let's take a moment to return to the awareness of the orb of grace surrounding us, allowing it to remain there, holding us for as long as it serves our highest good, our evolution, and the highest good of all. I'm closing now by offering my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you, whether you're present live or on the replay. Thank you for joining us today, for answering yes to the calling of grace and the calling to embody your galactic authority in your life and in your work. Infinite gratitude to our brilliant expert, Elizabeth Wysen, for all the wisdom, the guidance, the sacred offerings you have gifted us today. Thank you, Elizabeth. And gratitude to the Orb of Grace for providing a safe, sacred sanctuary for our journey of exploration. And gratitude for all the grace we are blessed with at every moment, whether we're aware of it or not. It offers all the nourishment, the nurturing, the healing, and all the insights we open our hearts to receive. Gratitude to our higher selves and all the higher beings who guide, support, and protect us. And gratitude to the divine presence that flows through us all. Through all, us and all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Until we meet again very soon, may many graceful blessings shower upon us all. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, everyone. And goodbye now.